Alright, let's see. Let's see if we have a live stream. Looks like the... It's alright. Something got banged around. By the look of it, I'm not sure what's happening. There's something wrong with the cameras. I'm trying to adjust. Sorry, wherever that is. That should be alright. That should be just fine, right about there. Alright. Sorry about that. Let's have a look. Ta-da. So, it's Sunday night. I don't do this all the time, but thought I'd better come on tonight just for the hell of it, you know, in case people want a mini reading. This is TarotLumination.com. You can go there on a separate tab or a phone or a tablet or on your laptop or something. TarotLumination.com, and you can do donations right through there. Just click it and scroll down. You just press the button and you can swipe a card like online shopping. You don't even have to have a PayPal account. It's pretty straightforward. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that. This is where I do the readings. Saranova Music, Atlanta. Whoa. Saranova. Hey, you haven't been here in a long time. Well, then again, I haven't been here in a long time. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's great. So I am going to arrange your magic post-it note right now, since it looks like we're already underway. Who knew? There you go. That's yours. Let's see who else shows up. So we got Sarah over here. Put that over here like that. All right. Let's see now. Where am I? Alright, okay, so I think I got the camera sorted out. And now let me go over here where I can say hello. Greetings, good evening. This is TarotLumination. It's Sunday night. It is the 22nd of March, 2026. The moon, I believe, is just crossing over to Gemini. Melissa from New Zealand. Aha. Hey, didn't you show up last night when I was just doing some sort of rambling? What the hell was I doing last night? What the hell? I was just doing one of my routine astrology shows. And what had happened is that various people have been writing to me telling me that their viewing experience on the Rumble platform is horrible. And it's just flooded with commercials, advertising, and it just wipes out, runs over the live show itself. So it's, and some people are saying there was 10 minutes of commercials. That's ridiculous. I can't operate in those conditions. So I said I would do it last night. I went over to YouTube. As some of you know, I'm absolutely terrified of YouTube. I love it very much, but it was a very destructive experience for me back in 2019. And maybe it's all forgiven and forgotten, but those algorithms are not people themselves. They are controlled, written by people, but the algorithm has almost like a life of its own once it's been programmed in a certain direction. So I'm hoping it's kind of faded away and then I can kind of recalibrate back here over on YouTube again. In other words, I'll probably be doing 3, 4, or 5 shows per week if I keep following my current behavior, and that'll all be about the astrology and the global activities. And then on Sunday night, like here, I'll revert back to my little live mini tarot readings. So that's the plan for now. I don't know if it's going to work, but again, we've just had these new moons. To me, it's like a double new moon. The new moon in Pisces instantly flipping to sun and moon in Aries within hours. So it's like 2 new moons in one. Diana Lynn. I know that name. Uh-huh. Okay, so... Oh, thanks, Melissa. So I have to get used to YouTube again, which probably means I'm going to have to put little post-it notes off to the side of the studio to remind me to, you know, curb my language a little bit so I don't just blurt out all the things that destroyed my channel in 2019. I still have the same belief systems. The world has changed a lot in the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And what I've noticed is that on the content that I view on YouTube, I go to a lot of sources, but on my YouTube sources, some of the channels that I like and respect, they are no longer receiving such heavy censorship as they used to. And all those blue boxes that you normally see at the bottom saying the New World Order is not an evil conspiracy. Oh, climate change is a real thing. Oh, there's nothing wrong with solar and wind farms. Oh, chemtrails is just a conspiracy theory. All of that stuff is starting to, gradually disappear off of the YouTube broadcasting. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, good evening, Diana. Good evening, Melissa. Good evening, Sarah. So I've already got a booking for Sarah Nova. We've got that coming up. I just did a reading before I went live. It was a private mini reading offline because it was like a sensitive subject, and that's being processed and sent away by tomorrow. But for tonight, right now, I'm going to do if there's people here right now, I've got one booking, but maybe once we get started, maybe we'll get another booking. We'll see. Anyway. So obviously, feel free to chat amongst yourselves while I just do my thing over here. What I tend to do is invite people to open up their imagination, picture a beautiful, this is my favorite scenario. Hello, Love Driver. Picture a beautiful environment My chosen environment right now would be Northern Island of New Zealand, off on the Coromandel mountain coastlines, beautiful balmy ocean, crystal clear water, gentle waves coming up on the beach, surrounded by stunning mountains, and we have a nice sort of grassy area where we can have a nice campfire and some seats, maybe some little tents for camping if you want to nap. And people bring along their own favorite snacks and beverages. And then it goes into twilight, and you get the magical sunsets, and then the stars and all the meteors start to come out. A lot of times the sky is very clear down in New Zealand because it's so far away from everywhere else. There's not a lot of pollution in that area. And so even though they have a lot of clouds, you know, in a very kind of random manner, when it's clear, it can be very beautiful and clear, and you can see the planets, you can see meteors and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, you know it? Melissa, you know it? Of course, I forgot you're a New Zealander. Yeah. I have a deep love of New Zealand. I've been there 3 times in my life. It was so profound for me. And I still have a few friends there, but I haven't been back in, 6 years. I can't wait to go back. I don't know when or how, but it's got to happen sometime, somehow. I went to a lot of little places in New Zealand. I love the fish and chips because pretty much wherever you are in New Zealand, if you're even right in the middle by the big volcanoes and by some of the farms in the South Island and so on, you're still no more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from the ocean. Just go east or west. So, yeah. You're over in East Auckland. Oh, if you're in East Auckland, you can probably, look over the horizon and you can see the Coromandel from over there. God, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. It's like a magic world. As far as I'm concerned, New Zealand is literally like a magic world. The mountains seem to be filled with magic. There's the rivers and streams and lakes. There's the ocean everywhere. There's always ocean air. I used to stay in Hamilton quite a lot. I had friends there. And even in the middle of Hamilton, you could still kind of sense some of the ocean air if it's coming over from Raglan or somewhere like that. It just depends on where the wind is at the time. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Oh well, okay, so everybody, just imagine you're hanging out over with Melissa at her place, because she's already got it. I'm having to do it through creative visualization, but Melissa's actually got it. She's right there. Oh, that's so amazing. Wow. Fantastic. All right, let me see what I can do here. I think I'm going to dive right in and start with Sarah Nova just to get the show rolling. So let's get set up. Give me a second over here. Go to the stage now. Oh, talking about the drive from Auckland to Hamilton. I always felt it was kind of like a magic experience because in New Zealand, there's really only a couple of cities. I think there's Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. Actually, there's Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. Then you have Dunedin, and I think Hamilton in the middle, and everywhere else is like small towns or small villages. Yeah. Hello, Celine. Welcome. Good evening. Yeah, it's a magical ride. So when you're coming out of Auckland, you go through all these highways, and eventually it starts to go down this magical slope. And to me, it's like an optical illusion. but you're going down into the lowlands, and heading in this farmland and mountains and everything, and then the old coal mining areas, and then you go into, I think it's Hamilton. Is it Hamilton itself or Huntly? You go through Huntly. Well, apparently it's one of the ugliest towns in New Zealand, but I loved it. And you then eventually end up in Hamilton. But it felt like a magical, I felt like I was in a movie. I was living inside a movie. I love it so much. All right, let me go over here. All right, so yeah, your name here, for anyone who's interested. We're going to do a live mini reading for Sarah Nova right now. And for anyone else who's interested, if we just do one reading tonight, then so be it. But if anybody wants to, you can put a donation over here, TarotLumination.com. Just scroll down, you'll find it. It's a button. It's like online shopping. Scroll down, choose debit, credit, or whatever. You don't have to have a PayPal account, and then you swipe it, and then kapoof, here you go. Just like online shopping, okay? I even went up into the North Islands. Actually, sorry, I'm still transfixed by New Zealand. I've even been part way up into the North Islands where it gets kind of warm and really warm and balmy. It almost gets tropical. And the highway goes up for what, 20, 30, 40 miles, 50 miles or something. Well, not even that. And then it just fizzles out, and then you're into country roads and villages and towns. And I think you get the Bay of Islands. I think the Bay of Islands is as far north as I ever got. Beautiful area. Anyway, sorry, I have to calm down. Yeah. So many magical things around New Zealand. It's just mind-boggling. All right, so Sarah, I have no idea what's going on. It's been a long time since I've really connected with people here like this. I mean, I've been doing random Sunday night readings, but I've been so absorbed with the global activities right now because of the evolution and the correlations with the astrology. I felt very obliged to focus my energy there, which of course took me away from here. But because of what's been happening recently, the huge changes in our societies around the world and the awakenings of millions of people, and where huge social media platforms are realizing that there's only so much censorship and propaganda and mind control that they can exercise, I feel they've dialed it back quite a bit, and I have been encouraged to come back to YouTube. A lot of it because YouTube is, I love YouTube. It's the best platform for people like me, unless the platform decides they don't want you or don't like you, and then it's the worst place ever. But anyway, I'm daring myself to come back to YouTube, see if I can do it without being censored or blocked or having strikes or demonetizations or anything like that. I don't have too much control over the advertising. Even if I switch off monetization, commercials are going to come on anyway. So, because YouTube will exploit the channel anyway. Alright, so Sarah, again, I have no idea what we're going to be doing here. It's a blind reading. It's been a long time. So bear with me. Okay, so do the creative visualization. You're with good people. You're in a very high resonant environment. There's a beautiful campfire. You got your favorite beverage. There's lovely snacks. You got your invisible friends. You've got your guardian angels all nearby, on hand, ready to assist. This is my situational spread. You've got to reveal it to heal it. So just think of this like as the warning lights on the dashboard of a car. beep, 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 beep. Uh-oh, you need an oil change. Beep, 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 beep. Or your fuel sensors are broken. Beep, beep, beep. Your oxygen system's broken. Your mass air sensor is broken. Beep, 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 beep. Fix it. You can't fix it until you know what the problem is. So that's what we do here. All right, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's challenges, and here's how we're going to handle it. And let's look at the external influence. Of course, I almost always default to the astrology, but this can come out in all sorts of different ways. Let's have a look. So we have the Page of Wands. So I'm first of all going to default to the astrology. Let me get that over here. Wands. Think of inspiration. Think of astrology fire signs like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. The urge to fight, to lead, to explore, to go beyond, to succeed, to be happy. Leo loves to be happy. Aries loves to get up, go out and do whatever has to do to win. Sagittarius loves the great beyond, unlimited adventure. So we just had the Pisces new moon, which flipped into a massive Aries new moon, effectively. And so it's new starts and new beginnings right here. It's only just happened, okay? So we're still in the very early stages of the new moon cycle over the next 28 days. Things will culminate in 2 weeks from now. So what I'm sensing here is grab hold of however you would describe your psychic perception of the universe right now. In other words, if you've got some sort of imagery that you keep inside of yourself for how you look at the world, like it's a beautiful landscape, it's a movie, it's a divine environment, it's a hellhole, it's a mystery box, whatever that is for you. Treat this as the starts and the beginning of new adventures, new knowledge, new wisdom coming to you. No matter how advanced you may be in your body or your mind or your heart or your soul, there's always more to learn while you're here in this lifetime. So this is a seize the moment card, okay? That's what I'm sensing here. It's time to grab on and seize the moment, because there's a lot of learning to do as you go through the evolutionary experience through which the rest of our species is going right now. So this is make it your own version, your own custom specialized version of the journey. Okay, all right, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Let's talk about that journey. Okay, so despite talking about looking forward, going forward with the new moon, you might be, okay, this sounds like it's very contradictory, but you might be feeling like you're being swept up into an exposure of your past lives, like almost like a past life regression type energy, where, oh gosh, how am I going to do this with the astrology? Hold on, give me a second. I know this is sounding a little bit contradictory, but what I'm feeling is, just imagine your invisible friends pick you up, sweep you up, spiritually, emotionally, and so on, and they tell you, Serenova, it's time to have a bigger, broader, wider view. We're going to look through a big, big lens. We're going to take you way up into outer space, and you're going to look down at the planet below. You're going to see your existing life. You're going to see the past life and the one before that. You're going to get glimpses and flashbacks of past lives where you have loved and lost, where you've had pain and suffering, bliss, romance, desire, pleasure, poverty, illness, disasters, pain, and everything. Everything that a human can experience. And I feel it's important that at some point a person gets the chance at least once in their lifetime to get that degree of exposure, so you can get a feeling like you're not just a YOLO. You know, a YOLO, you only live once. You only live once. YOLO. A lot of people are YOLOs. They're born and they think, oh, I'm alive and then I'm going to die and it's all over. What I'm sensing here is that if you have a little bit of that feeling inside of you, it's time to realize that your soul, your life, your purpose, your journey, your experience here is much bigger than your three-dimensional senses can handle. Our three-dimensional body is designed to operate here on this planet. But we still have our little pituitary gland, which connects us to the great beyond, where we can do things like remote viewing, psychic visions, having encounters with loved ones from the past, and so on and so on. Getting a glimpse of your own future. Future forecasting, for example. It does exist. And so it feels like, even though the Six of Cups might feel like it's a looking back in time thing, just remember that kind of on the other side, in the world of psychic mediumship, time is kind of irrelevant. So in the background, I feel just these two little cards are saying, Sarah, this is an amazing time to grab the opportunity to see your life and experience your life and feel your life from a much bigger, wider lens. However that looks to you, whether it's love, relationships, partnerships, career, business, health, finance, whatever it might be. But with the Six of Cups, it's probably more to do with relationships. Having loved and lost. Having loved and then lost. Or somebody loved you and you dumped them. Are you the dumper or the dumpy? Things like that. It could be any variation. Anyway. So that's what I'm sensing. All right. So what are the challenges with this? Okay, so I've got the Ten of Pentacles here. This is a very big, yummy, delicious card. It's just that it's in a position which makes me feel like there's, like you have desires. You have ambitions. You want the best that life can offer. That's how it is for most people. We want to have our best life, and you've already had, or you already have a vision of that. Abundance, job, career, gifts, talents, money, resources, savings, a future, retirement plans, all those gifts, a home, a house, a family, pets, kids, everything. Someone who loves you, someone you love, and everything that goes with it. It's a beautiful card, beautiful energy. But in this position, you might be feeling like, oh my God, I'm on a precipice. Am I losing all that? Will I ever have a chance for that? Have I been striving for that, demanding that and expecting that? Perhaps I've been conditioned that way. Perhaps I have conditioned myself that way just by observing the world around me at the three-dimensional level. I am Sarah Nova. I want all those classic ingredients of a really good life. And then you're starting to see, oh, wait a minute. Maybe my life isn't exactly playing out that way. Maybe there's a whole other meaning, purpose, and journey and intention in my life that I didn't really ever anticipate until I'd reached this certain particular chapter. Because astrologically, this chapter isn't just for global history, it's for individuals as well. Every individual on Earth is being pushed into very extreme conditions in order to evolve. So this pattern is, all of this you would call a transit, okay? So that, if you're a Cancer rising, the transits would look like this for you. If you're a Libra rising, it would look like this for you. If you're a Capricorn rising, it would look like this for you. And wherever these hot spots lie in your chart, that's where you're going to feel extreme pressure. And the way the astrology is right now, there's extreme pressure here and here and here. So all three of those points resonating at the same time, that's a tremendous amount of pressure to evolve, change, and grow. So if you have been living a life of certain, let's say, stability or security or expectations, and then suddenly realizing like, oh my God, my life is not quite what I thought it was. What is actually going on here? And so sometimes, okay, you might not like this. Sometimes we are, part of our soul contract to be here is that we have to go through certain experiences in order to come out the other side with wisdom and knowledge. And that means being tested. The most obvious test is when somebody reaches about what age? I don't know, 29 or so, and you get your classic Saturn return. For a lot of people, the Saturn return is brutal. It's just like, I worked so hard, I got an education, I have a good parenting, I had this, I did that, I got the right partners, I've done everything, and then suddenly all this shit happens. It's not right, it's not fair. And then you have to keep going, and you start all over again on another 29, 30-year journey to the next Saturn return when you're about 60-ish, or 58, 60. And sometimes it's pretty brutal, and a lot of people, they get caught off guard because in youth, especially in the 20s and so, there's this tremendous biological surge. I mean, we're built that way. That's when we're most likely to procreate, have boyfriends, girlfriends, get married, have babies, careers, jobs, make money as much as possible, and so on. And a lot of people hit a brick wall at 29. And it's just earth-shattering. It's life-shattering. Okay, I just saw a note there. Hold on. You're Capricorn rising. Okay, so for context, here we go. Let's do it. As a Capricorn rising, let's just say you're Capricorn rising. So that puts Capricorn on the horizon. There's the first house. I'm not going to go into full degrees, but if you look at it this way, Pluto is in Aquarius transiting your second house, so there's going to be huge, it's a 20-year journey, so you might not notice it, but it means tremendous shifts, transformations, radical awakenings, liberation from probably very old, ancient heritage of belief systems. And if you're going to look at, see, the second house is all about money. Real money, hard money, coming from your talents, your gifts, your resources, the things that you're good at, the things that you love to do. If you're a good singer, a good writer, a good accountant, a good administrator, a good teacher, whatever, a good mother, whatever it might be, okay? Hello, Necessary, I'm doing it. The eclipses were over here, but the new moon we just had was right here at the very bottom of your chart. So you might be having some really big, maybe some earthquake feelings regarding home and family, like what the hell? I had all of this planned and now I'm looking at a whole different scenario. What does that look like? What is my future going to look like? Huge question marks coming up ahead. Because there's a massive stellium in the Aries section here, the fourth house of home, family, foundation, stability, safety, security, okay? And so on and so on. I'm not going to do an astrology reading here tonight. I just wanted to give you some context. All right, so how do we handle this going forward? Let's have a look. Okay, so if you feel as though you have either been let down or that, and it's very specific, or that you feel like you're being let down by factors, things that you don't understand, that you can't control, and it turns into misery, pain, suffering, confusion, loss, denial, deflection, and you're carrying all of that. It's important to acknowledge it, because if you pretend this isn't happening, then you're going to end up loading yourself with a lot of fear, guilt, and self-destructive feelings, thoughts, emotions. A lot of this is mental, okay? So if you're going through some challenging situation right now, maybe it's very deep and profound. You don't have to tell us anything. You don't have to, okay? So the worst thing you could do is go into denial. In other words, because a lot of people do that. If they're going through a very stressful chapter in their life, if it's very outward or very private or personal. Either way, it's important to acknowledge that which it is. In fact, with the swords here, it might be an idea to even put it into words. This is how, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I've done a lot of this myself. It's like self-healing work. For example, journaling. You would take, like I have my note pads, my clips, my clipboards. I use them a lot. I will brainstorm. I'll take a pen and I'll start writing things like, well, what am I thinking about? Why do I feel this right now? What do I want right now? Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? Why does it seem good? I start to do my own, let's see, I don't know how you would, what's it called? There's a word for it where you start, let's say you start to project, you give yourself permission to express yourself and tell yourself, I have to do this. This is my business. It's me. You can't outsource your life. For example, you could hire a therapist or a counselor. That's great. But even there, a good therapist or a counselor might say, listen, dear Sarah, you're a perfectly fine person, but you're obviously getting seriously rattled by certain issues right now. Why don't we write them all down? I've had huge amounts of counseling and therapy myself for a lot of reasons, and so I understand the value of it. And I was lucky to have some really good counselors, and we would be in a private room with huge whiteboards, and we would write stuff down like, oh, like my girlfriend did this and then that happened, or I lost my job and then that happened, or I never forgave my parents or my mother or my dad, and I've been carrying this burden and grudge, or I've just realized through a crazy awakening that I had a horrible abuse situation as a child and now it's coming and I don't know what to do. I had plans, I've lost something, I don't know, but you have to get it out of you. So with the Nine of Swords there, what I'm sensing is that you either get it out of you or you sit all night tortured, just torturing yourself with thoughts. Fear escalates more fear, and it creates a doom loop of fear. So going forward, you have to acknowledge that if there is something that's troubling you, whatever it might be, home, family, something that's troubling you because things didn't work out exactly how you were hoping or planning or working or expecting, you have to bring it into fully into consciousness to the point where you could write it down. Like, I got screwed over by so-and-so, or I was so dumb I didn't realize blah, blah, blah would happen. And just be honest and open, then just start listing it all down, and then you can start to pick those apart. And that's all part of a self-healing process. You can do it yourself. Sometimes it helps to have professional counseling. No shame in that. I was very lucky because basically all my counseling was free. I've had a very unstable, financial life, and I qualified for certain services, and it was incredible, incredibly healing, and especially to be healed by people who are devoted to helping others. It's a fantastic thing. So, yeah. In other words, if you feel you've been let down and your hopes, dreams, and wishes about coulda, woulda, shoulda, treat the whole thing as just another learning lesson chapter in your life. But if it's very painful and it's something that you're ashamed of, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to share it here or anything like that, it's still important that you reconcile this with yourself. Sometimes the best thing is to literally go to a professional service. Not a partner, not a child, not a parent, not a friend. I mean, you could start with a friend, but sometimes it's better to get totally detached professional feedback. It doesn't have to be really expensive or time consuming. Some people almost do it voluntarily. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm sensing here. What's that? I'm just checking some notes on the screen. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're taking this with some humor. You have to. And you have ChatGPT. Oh God. So ChatGPT is now your therapist. Okay. That's hilarious. I'm sorry. That is absolutely hilarious. Well done, Sarah. I'll keep that in mind in case I need some counseling. I admit I use Grok over on X. I like that. I also use Gemini, which comes with the Chrome browser. Where else do I go? I don't do it for personal things. I do it for, you know, something I'm studying or something that I want to learn or understand. And you have to be very, very. It's all about learning how to package yourself properly, how to ask the right questions, how to frame your language. It's very, very precise. You remember all this AI stuff? It's all code. It's all computer code. And it all has to be typed in by people in Nigeria to create these vast databases of knowledge and information. It's basically, all these AI things are basically super advanced, hyper powerful search engines, just like in the very early days of Google and Chrome. Catherine Copilot. God. Right. Oh, let's have a look. What's that? Oh, hold on, let me just catch up with the notes here. Unfortunately, you have ChatGPT. Self-healing is a bumpy ride. Thank you, Love Triber. It's true. Sarah Nova, I go to therapy but missed my appointment due to my dogs needing vet appointments. Oh my gosh, you've got a lot going on. Unfortunately, that's true. Melissa has an appointment with a psychologist on Friday. And the idea is to help me with some self-healing and grief. Excellent. Excellent. It's really good to take charge of your self-healing, even if it means you are doing it with a professional healer that's not friends and family. That's very good. Sarah Nova. Instead of writing a journal, I just put it in ChatGPT. Rarely just talk, but I definitely go to therapy. You're already going to therapy, or you're going to go to therapy? Okay. Necessary uses Catherine Copilot. Oh. Copilot, that's the one from Microsoft, I think. Microsoft offers Copilot. Yeah, I've seen that. And it's funny to think that your deeply personal issues that you're sharing with your avatar AI doctor, it all goes through an electronic wire, a cable, down to the internet, up through a tower, radio waves, and eventually ends up at a data center, maybe in Texas or Wyoming or California or Georgia. And then it goes, burns up a whole pile of electricity, comes up with an answer, does searches on 10, 20, 30 websites and encyclopedias, and then it spits out your answer. There you go. I hope you don't become addicted. God help you if you become addicted. Yeah, therapy is a very, very good thing. You don't have to have it all the time. Some people become therapy addicts. That's not good. Best to do is just get in there, sort out what has to be sorted out, and then say thank you very much. And then move on. All right, I just need to tidy up things a little bit here. Give me a second. Dun, dun, dun. All right, Sarah, thank you. There's a lot of stuff coming up there in the chat. Hold on, let me check in with that over there. Okay, I'm reading through. Being a therapist based my whole life. I've come a long way. I go once a month to check in. Definitely need it. Okay, that's very good. I went continuously 2, 3, 4 times a week for 4 years. Yeah, I had a lot, as you can tell, I had a lot of problems. So, and I was extremely grateful because I grew and matured, and I don't know what I would have done without professional therapy, to be honest. Okay, let me read through your notes here, Sarah. You put a lot of time and money into my career, and it has hasn't resulted in anything. Okay, frustration. I've got great clients, but a lot of accounts I've had have been squeezed out by the buddy system. I'm tired. Squeezed out sounds like you're being polite. It sounds like they were stolen because you were polite, because you were nice. So no, I'm being dramatic. I do have some work, but about half of it is getting taken from me by these groups of people who all help each other in our industry. Seniority means nothing. It sounds like you're being exploited because it sounds awful, but you're too kind. And, you've come a long way. Once a minute. I'm sorry I have to leave now. It's 2:50 and I have to collect my sons from school. We'll catch you next time. Melissa, okay. Take care, Melissa. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for triggering my wonderful flashbacks and visions of New Zealand. Take care. Sounds like nepotism. Yeah, if anyone has any secondary alternative perspectives on the reading to help Sarah, feel free to drop it in the comments. That's a pretty serious disclosure you've put there, Sarah. It sounds like it might be in some industries there's a culture of theft. I've worked in all sorts of jobs where I wasn't very good, and people just basically swiped my position, and I was released, let go, fired, whatever you want to call it. I've had a lot of jobs in my life because I've had a very nomadic life, just trying to stay alive, functional. The thing is that I've also seen it at the corporate level and in factories and all sorts of things where, what do they call it, office politics? Whether it's remote or in person, there's all this sort of psychic stuff that goes on in the background where people might behave in a certain way that looks appropriate for a certain environment, and you're expected to behave in a certain way to maintain decorum, professionalism, integrity. But there's also plenty of people who don't care anything about that. If they see an opportunity to grab, steal, backstab, usurp, just grab something that they never earned, because either you were, let's say, maybe you're too nice to be protective and defensive, or just tell someone, get the fuck out of my face, Sorry, blah. Those are the things I'm not supposed to say. So, I mean, I've witnessed it. I've witnessed people backstabbing other people to climb up the ladder, so to speak. Office nepotism. It's not what you know, it's who you know. What's that expression? Who do I have to blow now to get up, to go to the top? I know, it sounds disgusting. I'm sorry. Oh, God. This is how I get in trouble. And some people are ruthless hollow. They don't care. Oh, okay. Ah, man, sorry about that. Yeah, it's brutal. I kind of got into situations with workplaces where I learned something from my brother a long time ago, and what my brother did my brother's really successful, done extremely well in life, beautiful homes, beautiful families, and things like that. Lots of abundance, prosperity, but isn't in his own way he was very ruthless, but in a way that's perfectly appropriate for certain industries. And I used to work for another company where my boss, he was a fantastic guy, but he was ruthless. And it worked very well. And that's how he got clients. Because he noticed that certain company here, there, they were not serving the clients properly or as well as he could. And so he would quietly get in the stream, so to speak, and make himself available. And lo and behold, the clients would go to him. And that's business. You know, you just say, well, that's business. You know, if you're not serving the clients, yeah. But there's also self-serving people who deliberately undermine. These are people who they're trying to climb up your back. They're trying to coattail you, and they grab onto your coattails while you do all the hard work, and then they try to slip in at the last minute and take all the glory. Ugh, okay. It's the office politics. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. I've been booted out of places. I've been physically violently thrown out of environments because I decided to stick to my principles. I used to like to work hard, make good money, and I was employed in a union environment. And within 2 years, all the other union members kept complaining to the corporation, we can't work with this guy because he's working too much too quickly and he's making all of us look stupid. And in the end, I was fired by the corporation because the unions were so powerful, and the corporation couldn't afford to lose all the union crew members. And so I was sacrificed, even though there was technically no reason. It's brutal. Careers, workplaces, even if you're totally self-employed, you're still going up against other self-employed entrepreneurs. If it's inside a physical office, you have to deal with the office politics of the individuals. If it's a very competitive, hierarchical situation, it can get really brutal. And if you're so-called a nice person, you can end up being chewed up. Well, on that happy note, I'm glad we brought all this to an awareness, because you've got to reveal things to heal things. Self-healing and self-growth, sometimes very painful. I got to do some homework over here. Give me a second. I got to do some housekeeping. So I'm just going to check. Stay there, folks. Don't go away. I'm going to check a couple of things. All right. Okay, next up. Next up, we have necessary truths. Thank you. I just found that. All right. Well, Necessary, you've been here since the beginning, like with Maria and Ivona. Been around for a long time. Okay. Thanks for hanging in all these years. Oh, okay. Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. All the best. Get some rest, too. Birthday celebrations and cleaning. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. Thank you, Sarah. All right, Necessary. Here we go. I'm pretty much shuffled. I feel ready to go if you're okay. All right, well, where was I? I just want to check in over here. So I don't know about any of you, but I'm going through some monumental shifts in my own life. They're very deep, they're very personal, they're very inside, and they're going to be manifesting ways that my physical 3D life is going to change over the next few years, probably in some big ways. And I don't, all I know now is the seeds are planted and the intentions are underway, the energy is flowing, and I'm just going to go with it, whatever that looks like. I have surrendered to the healing power of love. I've decided to trust completely in divine guidance. I'm a very lucky man. I'm a very wealthy man. I'm a very happy man. I'm a very blessed man. I condition myself like that every day. And I believe it is true in its own little way. All right, Necessary, you're up. Here we go. I think we got a couple people here tonight. Wait a minute, there's some weird numbers flashing on my studio. Hold on, give me a second. What is all this? Okay. I'm back on YouTube here, so I forgot what the studio system is like. There's a lot to remember, a lot to learn. Anyway, let's. I don't want to ask too many questions. I just want to hope that we can just get through the show without it exploding. I gotta tell you, this new computer is just freaking awesome. It's got so much power. Back in the day, my old computer, it was pretty awesome in its day. But 13 generations later, this thing looks very similar, but it's vastly more powerful because the Intel chips are so much more powerful now. And I bought the most high-end chip that I can afford. And it really makes a difference. It means I can keep all the softwares going, because I use a lot of different softwares and programs and studio facilities to do the show. I don't do shows the way a lot of people do them. I have my own little way, which we do here, but it does use a tremendous amount of power. So I haven't thrown away my old laptop because I'm very sentimental about that thing, and who knows what might be on it. I've salvaged pretty much everything, put them on thumb drives and so on. But with this system over here, I'm keeping it light. What I have learned to do, excuse me, sorry, necessary. Sorry, I got a bit distracted because I think it's important for everybody. What I've learned to do is streamline my computer operations so that I have almost nothing on my computer except the core tools that I need to do what I do. If you're in business, it might be Outlook or some spreadsheets or, you know, a lot of office software, Microsoft Office or something like that. Or if you're a scientist, there's so many different softwares for different industries. And I just have, you know, broadcasting, so that's what I have. But I store very little material, you know, files, important files, documents, images, and so on. I put all that onto little thumb drives. Just in case, you know, because in case you get hacked or something, you know. I'm becoming more and more wary because of, you know, the way hacking occurs. You know, crypto world, crypto wallets being destroyed, banks getting hacked, healthcare companies getting hacked, iPhones getting hacked, millions and millions of iPhones totally hacked. Things like that. I don't want that. So I'm training myself to be very, very lean. I just thought I would share that. There you go. All right, let's get back to your reading, okay, necessary? Here we go. I know what you're saying. It's taken me a very long time to learn how to manage my computer. I still feel like I'm very innocent and barely functional compared to some people. On the other hand, I'm pretty advanced in my own way, so I'm proud of that. All right, here we go. Let's just dive right in. You're going to get your extra card, don't worry. Here we go. We're going to reveal it to heal it. You know what to do. Invite your imaginary friends. So not imaginary, invite your invisible friends, the ones who are actually there, plus your archangels, guardian angels, and spirit guides. All of it. We need all of it. And it works by invitation. You can't just take it all for granted. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. Let's have a look at the external influences. Remember, the astrology and the planets are very extreme right now, and the main theme is evolution, extreme pressure to evolve, okay? Which one is Chris is the serious one and John is the comedian, is that right? Anyway, let's have a look. Oh, the whole thing's upside down. Excuse me. Don't worry about it. Don't take it personally. Okay, we have the Seven of Swords here. This looks like a warning bell to me. All right. So what I'm sensing here with the Seven of Swords is that it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. What I'm sensing is that, dear necessary truth, you need to be extremely alert right now for whatever. It could be anything or anyone that would be resonating an aura of deception, treachery, betrayal, fakery. Is somebody being nice to you and yet they have dark intentions? Is there a miscommunication somewhere? Personal life, work life? is there something that is not quite right, and it's either very subtle but potentially very unsettling, or is it right in your face? Sometimes treachery is committed right in your face to such a point where I dare you to call me out. I am betraying you right to your face, and I'm smiling at the same time, and I dare you to call me out. It could be it could be that extreme, but it can also be extremely subtle. So if your spirit energy, or if your invisible friends, your guides, John and Chris, could go on extra special alert to keep an eye out for you and give you a kind of a wake up, hey, necessary, watch out for this or that or so-and-so or so-and-so. Maybe it's something to do with workplace, something with personal finances, something to do with impersonal finances, like finances in the workplace. Maybe it's contracts. Remember, we've just come out of Mercury retrograde. We've just come out of Jupiter retrograde. So there's a lot of movement, momentum going forward. There's a lot of surge energy. If you think of traffic, okay? Everybody has been in traffic. If there's a lot of traffic and it's like 6 or 8 lanes all held up because of orange cones for whatever reasons, and then the orange cones are peeled away, the traffic starts to hustle and want to get lined up so it can move forward and not have to deal with all the orange cones, the obstructions, and the detours. And so right now, with the charts, I'll show you in just a second, we have no retrogrades of the major planets. So there's a surge of energy going forward, and everybody is swept up in that, whether we like it or know it or not. And if in that energy, like imagine you're in traffic, someone's trying to cut you off or undercut you or take advantage of your own good nature, be very aware. Okay? All right, hold on. Let me show you. This is what I was trying to mention, okay? So we've just finished Mercury retrograde, we just finished Jupiter retrograde, and now we are in clear space. There's no retrogrades at all here. We move into April. It's clear the whole of April, so there's going to be a lot of, let's say, momentum going through April. And at the end of April, we're going to dive into Uranus and Gemini. So things are going to get very feisty over the next 6 weeks, okay? The global financial system is going to go through a lot of huge convulsions. The charts, the stocks, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, gold, silver, Bitcoin, oil, gas, commodities, wheat, fertilizer, copper, all of that stuff is gyrating in the global markets, and it's going to affect everybody and everything on Earth, one way or another. And the last thing you want is to be undercut, sideswiped, betrayed. So, in other words, let's just stay neutral here. Now that we know this in advance, it doesn't mean you have to go on the aggression or go on to offense to try and outsmart or undercut someone else, because then you're just falling into that negative behavior yourself. What I'm sensing with the Seven of Swords here is just be acutely aware that the environment is very conducive to trickery. And you don't want to end up in that situation. So double check your passwords. Double check all the really, really important things that represent your financial security, for example. Maybe do a defragmenting in your brain regarding love and relationships or workplace or family or something like that, so that you can do a complete reset to get everything pristine again. I kind of do these things kind of every month or so myself anyway. All right, let's keep moving. What's the situation? Oh, if there is some sort of treachery that's already happened, maybe there's been an intervention of some kind. Maybe there has been some sort of let's say an entanglement, for better or worse. Maybe you had some sort of hope built around this, and maybe it was, in your mind, realistic and genuine and honest and loving. Remember, this is not a cups card. This is heart. This is swords, okay? Intellect, psychic, mental, information. And it's a lot of times with the Three of Swords, it's an indication that there is treachery somewhere. Perhaps a third party messed up something good for you, and you ended up being betrayed, and it hurts. Of course, sometimes with this, you want to get back, you want revenge. So be very, very careful, because you don't want to be the third sword in someone else's life, because that's karma. That's bad. You're building bad karma. So if you're aware that something very precious to you is in jeopardy right now because of a potential interference, third-party interference of some kind, then it's important to take action to protect yourself and the interests. If it's a joint interest of like you and someone and you, and you don't want that bad thing to happen, but you're aware that treachery is in the air. Oh, that's difficult. What's the challenges here? More swords. Wow. Okay, it's almost like you're really, really tied up in knots, and you don't want to be, because you like to be very clear. Okay? You like to have a lot of psychic, spiritual, emotional, mental freedom. It's like water. You need that. It's like air for you. You have to have that ability to be really, really free and open. And if something or someone or circumstances or just one tiny piece of information comes into your life and disrupts all of that, where you're ending up, kind of, when something bad happens, you get really, really tight and you start, oh God, you get very tight-chested, your heart is pounding, fear rises up and it compounds and expands and accelerates into this horrific, seemingly unending fear. And you know what they say about fear and stress? It's supposed to be just a short-term thing. Like if you encounter a dangerous or threatening or challenging situation, you're supposed to confront it, deal with it, heal the situation, and move on and go back to your default status of being calm, serene, loving, loved, connected with divine, your natural state of harmony. And when something comes in and messes that up, but the impact or the situation or the stress or the damage turns into an extended long-term thing, that's chronic stress. And then that chronic stress can turn into chronic disease. And you have to recognize the difference. Like, I've had to deal with a lot of that in my own life. How do you heal yourself? Healers. Healer, heal thyself. I've helped all sorts of people do, try to get better in their lives somehow. But you have to live by example. You got to take care of yourself. It's really, really important to take care of yourself. And if out of divine good fortune, you're already very blessed with being very mentally, psychically gifted and high resonant by nature, and that's your default setting, it doesn't mean that you're immune to external damage and influences by others or from others. Sometimes it's even self-destructive, but I'm thinking it's more external. And that's a real pain for people like yourself when you're operating at very high frequencies and then you have to deal with something that's very low frequency. It drags you from this frequency down to here. And if you're not ready, willing, or able to heal that, fix it immediately, within minutes, hours, or a few days, then you're stuck in these lower frequencies. And that can really, really... it's kind of like you have to force yourself to be your most awesome self when you're not. And when I see the Eight of Swords here, it makes me feel that the reality is that you're kind of tied up and you're entangled in things that are causing you a lot of mental anguish, confusion, stuff that normally you would either brush it off, or you would work through it, or you would dissolve it. But instead what's happening is it's kind of like the Piscean energy, where you think, oh, I just fixed it, but it ends up getting worse. And then you think, oh my God, now I better do this, and then it just gets worse. No harm, no insult to Pisces, but the 12th house Neptune Pisces energy has been very, very powerful for the last few months. And we just had the Pisces new moon. And with the sun and the moon in Pisces at the crisis degrees, like they were a few days ago, Tuesday and Wednesday, and a little bit into Thursday, that's a huge amount of spotlight energy on anything and everything that's not working in your life, in your world. You know, the things that are very, very deeply buried, that are actually potentially very toxic for you, or very, very subtle forms of depletion of your life force energy. It needs to be exposed so you can heal it. You've got to reveal it to heal it. And then kaboom, the Aries energy comes in, where we are now. And so what are you going to do about it? You know, it's fight or flight. The thing is, you don't want this to drag on. Chronic stress is not good, because that's when it turns into disease. Stress is okay. You have a problem. You look at the problem, you define the problem, you reveal the problem, you understand it, you diagnose it, you figure out what it is, and then you figure out the solution. Whatever it might be. But it's not much fun to be in that state of entrapment. Because it sometimes feels, how am I ever going to get out of this? Sometimes these other swords, all these swords here, sometimes these are of our own making. And it turns into self-sabotage. And we realize, oh my God, TL, why didn't you just say that at the beginning of the reading? Duh. Self-sabotage. Oh my God, of course. Duh. Oh, Christ. Everybody does it to some extent. And then, so how do we proceed? This is a very like psychic, mental, spiritual type of reading so far. Sometimes when you're operating at those very high frequencies, you've got to take a few breaths. Maybe go out for a walk or something. Find a way to decompress. And like if you're addicted to energy drinks and caffeine and Coca-Cola and sugar, that's not going to help here. It's better to have fresh air, a walk, serenity, a peaceful night, and then look at your life. Let's see, moving forward. More swords. Whoa, okay. Okay, I guess this is like that song, The Only Way Out is Through. That's what I'm sensing here for you, Necessary Truth. In order to take charge and become the boss of yourself again, to be that most awesome, let's just say the Aries version of yourself, where you get back to your indestructible, most awesome version of yourself, living in absolute truth, serenity, knowledge, wisdom, awareness, that is not, what's the word, based on propaganda or conditioning. This is your own truth that you had to work very hard, probably over lifetimes, to achieve this level of seniority in terms of managing your energy. Remember I used to talk about that a lot years ago? Energy management, where you have to really, really grab ownership, control, and management of all your psychic, mental, intellectual resources and harness that to work for you so that you're not a victim of your own worst fears and imagination. In other words, self-sabotage. So maybe there's some projection going on. Maybe you're feeling that others are sabotaging you and then you go deeper and you realize, oh, screw it, it's so ridiculous. Now I realize I was self-sabotaging. Duh. And so then you have to do this massive climb to get back to your normal, authentic, awesome self, where you are the boss of you, the irrefutable, indestructible boss of you. You are the own authority of you in your own life. You don't have to outsource that or put that out to anyone above you except your own God and Jesus and your angels. But they're not above you. They're with you. They're there for you. And you already operate at those frequencies. So it's kind of like a loop where you're going to have to get back there. And you're the only one who can do it. You can't, maybe having this reading is sort of like a little miniature version of outsourcing the problem to get to the point where you realize, oh, yeah, I'm the one who's going to have to fix me. I'm going to have to do my own defragment on me, start from scratch. It's a beautiful feeling, you know? To reclaim your sovereignty. Because this degree of sovereignty at that level is very hard earned. You weren't, this isn't just, you're not like a trust fund baby or just because maybe your dad was a professor at Harvard doesn't mean you're going to be all of that. So anyway, it kind of goes in a loop where it's all back to you. It all comes back to you. So I'm hoping it makes sense to you. I hope you get some value out of the reading. You don't get consumed by your own fear. And maybe you can talk to your friend Catherine, co-pilot, and she'll help you. All right, let's have a look here. Okie dokie. All right, well, I don't see any more readings or bookings here tonight, so it's just a small crowd. It's just a few of us, from what I can tell. So let's just wrap it up here. I'm gonna go over here. I think most folks have already gone home, gone to bed. It's late Sunday night. All right. So I'm just housekeeping. All good? I hope that made sense. Yeah. Thank you, Necessary, for the tips as well. So far I feel pretty okay here on YouTube. Coming back here, it's a Sunday night, so I didn't get into too much trouble. But God willing, I'll be here tomorrow night, but that's going to be all the global astrology stuff, okay? So we'll see. Oh, bottom card. Oh, forgot about that. Yes, I promised I would do that for you, didn't I? Take a deep breath. Dive in. Embrace the fear. Love the fear. I would say dive into this Aries new moon. Just grab it for everything that you possibly can. Treat it as a joyful thing. Understanding that a lot of people across planet Earth right now, billions of people across Earth right now, are trying to figure out what the bleep is going on. What the hell is happening with me and my life and my world? If I'm the president of a country, what the hell's going on? If I'm a politician, a corporate owner, a businessman, if I'm in the global legacy banking system, what the hell is happening? If I am a humble employee at a hospital or a restaurant, what the hell is going on in my life? If I'm doing grocery shopping, what the hell? Look at the price of that beef. Oh, look, what about filling up the gasoline in my car? Oh my God. Just roll with it, okay? It's almost like enjoy it as though you are the star in your own movie. You might as well enjoy it. You might as well make the most of it, have as much fun as you can, as much fun as possible, instead of having to be, tied up in chronic fear type situations, which just get worse and worse and worse. Yeah, feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, absolutely. There you go. So I'll kind of put that, I will align it over here so you can have a little snapshot of the moment. There you go. How is that? Your guides will tell you. You're guided, you're protected. Whatever it is you got to figure out, you'll figure it out. Because you have to. It's you, yourself, and thyself living the journey of your life. You are the lead actor in your own movie. There you go. All right. Take care. Thank you again for your time, your kindness, your generosity. See you folks soon.